And you can watch this speech tonight right here on Fox Business Live at 8 p.m. Eastern. But first, let's bring in Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman, good to see you. So we're just talking. Joe Biden is anticipated to say he wants $100 billion in aid to go to some of our friends around the world. What do you want to hear from Joe Biden tonight in his Oval Office address?
Well, what I'd like to hear from Joe Biden is that he will demand more from Gaza. I would like to hear him demand that Hamas be handed over and tried for war crimes. I would like to also hear Joe Biden talk about signing the State and Foreign Ops bill that we passed in the House that's sitting in the Senate that already provides $3.3 billion to Israel. You see, Joe Biden is not doing his job, and there's more that he could do. But then what else would we expect from Joe Biden?
And Sean and I, Congresswoman, talk about this all the time, about the dire financial straits this country is in because of the reckless spending coming out of this White House. Everybody seems to think, say this one word, Iran, and tell the American people, what are you going to do to starve that beast? Stop the sale of oil around the globe to the tune of more than $100 billion since he took office, and pump as much oil as you possibly can here in the United States to drive the price of that oil down. Do you think it'll happen?
Well, Dagan, you and Sean must be talking to people back home in Georgia in my district, because that's exactly the kinds of things they're saying. They're extremely worried about our economy. The inflation is killing them, and they really want us to put our country first, and that means putting our American energy first. And that's exactly what should happen. We should not be making any deals with Iran. We should provide sanctions on Iran, and we should be standing up to our enemies. But I'm afraid Joe Biden and his administration would rather go to war with Iran than do anything to help our Americans and provide more production of oil here at home that would put America first and would drive inflation down.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Congressman, there's been ample evidence to back up that Israel is not behind the Gaza hospital blast, yet Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, she keeps putting out false information and even fired up protesters outside the Capitol yesterday. Watch this.
I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing a vast majority just like this. And we still stand by and say,
should Rashida Tlaib be held accountable by the House for the continual lies that she tells about this hospital bombing and rallying up people based on false information?
Yes, absolutely. She should be held accountable, and she will be held accountable. I'm going to enter a censure resolution against Rashida Tlaib because I witnessed firsthand what she's capable of. Not only is she a liar, she's a great actress, just like the protesters, or maybe we should call them insurrectionists, that came in the Cannon House building where my office is yesterday. And they took over. They were completely coordinated. They had practiced and they knew what they were doing. My staff was able to take pictures of their cell phones when they were texting one another, and we have discovered who these people are. One of their group messages was titled Global Intifada. Intifada means Arab uprising and rebellion, which you could also call jihad. That's who she brought in our Cannon House office building yesterday. We also identified their names and found out that some of them are linked to the Southern Poverty Law Center, as well as the Jewish Voice for Peace, which the ADL describes as a radical anti-Israel group. This was not an ordinary protest that Rashida Tlaib organized. She will be censured in Congress. There needs to be a House ethics investigation, and I've sent a letter to the Capitol Police to tell them to preserve all records of arrest because we need to identify these people.
And Congresswoman, Rashida Tlaib is a vile, irredeemable hater of the Jews. And she is standing in front of a ceasefire banner. That's death to the 203 hostages that Hamas terrorists have. Where are the angry voices from her own party? This is a party problem for the Democrats.
That's right. It absolutely is. And the Democrat Party should be outraged with her. I don't know why they aren't reprimanding her or punishing her. They should be demanding that she denounce Hamas and demand that they hand over the hostages and give them back to the Israelis. But Hamas has already murdered innocent people, children, women, elderly people, and kidnapped these people. This is horrific. There is no excuse for Rashida Tlaib. She hates Israel, she hates America, and she does not represent what we stand for in Congress.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Department of Justice going after these insurrectionists like they did on January 6th. I'm waiting for that. I'm not going to hold my breath. But let's move on. Let's get out of the House Cannon building. Let's go to the House floor because there's confusion that was taking place this morning on whether the House planned a third round of voting for the Speaker's race coming later today. But Jim Jordan, he says he's still in the race for Speaker and he feels good about it. Watch.
Vote today?
That's the plan.
Going to be a
That
vote?
is the plan.
Who are you going to talk to right now?
Some of my colleagues.
Okay, and what's the plan in the middle before the vote?
Talk to our colleagues, listen to our colleagues.
Are you flipping any votes in the meetings?
I feel good about that, yes.
And how are you going to flip those votes today? How are you going to turn those votes into yeses?
Talk about what's good for the country. And issues that concern.
Do you know what time a vote can be today?
No.
You plan on sticking this out?
Oh, yeah.
So Congresswoman Jim Jordan, a friend of mine, I think a friend of yours as well, good conservative, but he's not getting the votes, right? He seems to be going in the wrong direction. So is there some internal plan that individual members are coming up with? Because you got to find someone who can lead the chamber, and you got to find 217 people to agree on who that person is. Is that going to happen in the next 2 days or 2 weeks? What can you tell us?
Sean, I totally agree with you, and I'm supporting Jim Jordan and voting for him, but I have to tell you our conference is broken, and that happened when Republicans joined with Democrats and ousted our speaker, and we have been fractured and completely chaotic since then, and we owe the American people an apology. I want to see our conference come together, and that would start with people asking for forgiveness from one another, and then we need to unify, and it's the right thing to do, it's the mature thing to do, it's the responsible thing to do, because Republican voters across America gave us this majority, and we are throwing it away right now, and there is no excuse for it. I'm ready to get back to work. We need to elect a speaker, but that will happen when we get in the room and learn to work together, and that's the best thing that we can do.
Very well said. You know, the top vote getter is Kevin McCarthy. If Jim Jordan can't get the votes, maybe you should bring back our former Speaker, Kevin McCarthy. That would be fun. Marjorie Taylor Greene, thank you for joining us on The Bottom Line. I think this is your first time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so
Come back
much
and
to
see
both
us.
of you.
Good to see you, Congresswoman.